Hello, I'm Pam.
And I'm Jane.
And we're here today to talk to you about some books in the second book in our series on why Nazis are bad and World War II. And Jay told me that I had to read this book by Mitch Albom, who is a Michigan author, and it is about the Holocaust of the Jews from Greece.
So it's a historical fiction.
Yes.
So it's a story that we don't know. The four main characters in this book are fictional, but the events that happen are actual true events.
They are. And I knew about the Danube River, and there's a memorial with sculptures of shoes of the people who had, because they made them take off their shoes and then they shot them, tied them together, and pushed them into the river. Yeah. One of the characters in this book is rescued by another character from during the process of that. But I didn't know about. I had to go look it up. There's 70,000 Jews.
Right. So they're in this Grecian.
The Grecian city was 50,000.
Right. And so they had been there for
thousands of years,
forever.
Since the foundations of Greece, and then when they were pushed out of Spain.
And loaded into these
boxcars, cattle cars.
But the story's interesting because it's narrated by truth. So there are four characters, and the four characters are three children.
Yes, Franny, Sebastian, and Nico.
Three Jewish children, and then it follows the trajectory of these three kids, and then an SS officer.
Yes, a Nazi soldier who is one of the people that tricks one of these children into lying when he thinks he's telling the truth.
Right.
To convince people to get on the trains without a fight.
Right. And so it follows them, and it's a page turner.
It is.
It's a page turner, but it follows them through the course of the horrible things that go into genocide.
And a thing I really appreciated about this book, and I told my husband I was appreciating about quite a few books that we see now, is this idea that we have multiple narrators. And multiple viewpoints. So you get Franny's narration, you get Sebastian's narration, you get Nico's narration, and we get inside the head of the Nazi officer. When he's talking about his fatherland, and he's talking about how he wants the right to rise again, and he's going to maintain his Aryan white superiority. He doesn't have babies with his American wife because he's not going to have any quote-unquote mudblood children, which takes us to this book, which they talk about in this book, and this is nonfiction, of the Nazi hunter.
Right, absolutely.
And at the end of World War II, many of the Nazis were captured, the ones who didn't commit suicide, like Hitler committed suicide, but the ones who weren't captured escaped out what's called the Ratline.
And the escape route that they took could take them to South America.
Through Italy, the Catholic Church.
They could then assume a new identity.
Yes.
And just kind of blend in.
Yes.
Into a new environment.
But
the Nazi hunter I love is because it tracks people who've committed brutalities on a scale that we can't imagine.
And it's about the Jews who survived trying to find some mechanism of atoning by finding these people. And this book takes you all the way to that place.
Rapidly. I never felt like, even though it went on for several decades, you never felt like, things were happening. You got the voices, like we said, of all four as they move forward. But one of the things that I think we're really going to talk about is that the name of the book is The Little Liar. So when we talk about, the book even says that if you change the language of lying, you have partial truths, half-truths, misinformation, omission. When you change the language of lying, you can create a system where euphemisms, where things are never spoken, but these horrible things are happening.
My review of the book, there's a quote that I pull out that the author puts in where he says, if you tell a lie often enough, it begins to feel like the truth. And we see that. We see that today. So to talk again in our second in our series about why Nazis are bad, why white superiority is not a thing, why communities of disabled and LGBTQ and non-Christian religions, Jews, Muslims, we're all equally human, is important to understand. We have 3 more books today: The Little Liar, The Ratline.
Nazi.
Thank you.